Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. It's Monday. Love Mondays. Market's back open. What's happened in the market today? It started off going up, kind of flatlining right now. Okay, so we had the big run up. Big run up last week, right? Stock market off to the races. Now, I think this stock market's just an illusion. You see, the economy is not doing well. Inflation's still running hot. But hey, look at the stock market. Look at the stock market. Look at the illusion. It's going up. It's going up. It's going up. What's going down? Your money, the purchasing power, your dollar. All right. Now, Janet Yellen, now she comes out and she says the reason that interest rates are going up, meaning rates have been rising, the bond market's been falling, rates have been rising. She says the reason for this is the strong economy. Look, she knows it's the debt. She just can't say that. Her job's to come out and lie to you, tell you we got this strong economy. We do not have a strong economy. They want you to look at the stock market. Stock market is an illusion. Now, okay, now the S&P, if you go right now where we're at, go back 2 years, exact same place. Same with the Dow, same with the NASDAQ. But here's the thing, the small caps, the Russell 2000, that's 2,000 small cap stocks. You go back 2 years ago, we're down 25% from 2 years ago. The small caps have been drifting lower while the regular stock market's being held up by the fantastic seven stocks, the Nvidias, the Apples, the Facebooks, the rest of them being holding the market up. And they want to have a big run up. They want to have a big run up into the end of the year. And I think they'll get that. Now, how are they going to get that? They're going to get that three ways. Okay, three ways. Number one, they're going to buy the debt, meaning that they're going to push the bonds up and the yields will contract. The yields will come down. Number two, they're going to do stock buybacks. They're going to buy back their own stocks, right? They're going to buy it back. Okay, this makes the market go higher, right? And we're in earnings season. They're going to push these earnings up to get this rally up into the end of the year. Now, why do they want to do that? They want to do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, they want to collect their big bonuses. They get paid on how high the stock market is. So they're going to run it up into the end of the year. They also want to get out. They want to get their clients out of the market at this high level so they can crash it next year. And next year, we're going to see what I predict to be the biggest crash in my lifetime. Once again, just my take. Yours may be completely different. All right. So we had another bank failure. Another bank failure. We talk about this a lot. Another bank failed over the weekend. Citizens Bank, established in 1929, survived the Great Depression, but it can't survive these times. These times are much worse than the Great Depression. We just don't know it yet. All right, so the Citizens Bank, they always close it on Friday because that's the day they close it, and then they reopen it on Monday. And this costs FDIC millions and millions of dollars. You know, they have to cover the bad debts. Now, there's hundreds of these banks, and they aren't telling you about it. They won't tell you whose bank it is, because if they do, they'd have the bank runs already. And they're getting bank runs right now. These bank runs, it's kind of quiet, kind of silent. People are quietly pulling money out of the banking system. I think that's very smart. I think the banks are in a lot of trouble. We're going to see hundreds of them go down. Going to be like dominoes. One's going to fall after the other, but we lost another bank over the weekend. Okay, let's get over to the real estate market now. I know I'm going to make some enemies. I'm going to make a lot of enemies here, right? Okay, it's all right. I wanted to avoid this topic because I don't like making enemies. A lot of people aren't going to be happy about this, but okay. So we got that big verdict came out. And $1.8 billion. National Association of Realtor, Keller Williams, Berkshire Hathaway, they got to pay this money, right? Now, why? Why do they have to pay this money? Well, they colluded to make the seller pay for the buyer's agent. Okay, so here's how the market works. A lot of people understand this. When you put a house up for sale, I go out, I'm a broker, I go out, I take the listing, all right? Traditional listing price is 6%, completely negotiable. You don't have to pay 6%. You can negotiate to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. You can negotiate any rate you want. But traditionally, it's ran about 6%. In my area, we run on about 5%, but this is split between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. Okay, now what they're saying is that this is wrong. This is wrong. The seller should not be obligated to pay this buyer agent. So they want to get rid of these buyer agents and just have the seller pay their agent and have their agent sell the property. Well, that's great in theory, right? It sounds good, sounds really good, right? How are they going to get the property sold? Well, they don't know how they're going to get it sold, right? Maybe they can post it up on Craigslist. See, they want to do away with the MLS system. The MLS system, multiple listing system, is where you put the properties for sale, right? Okay, so I take the listing, I'm the broker, right? And I get paid 6% from the seller, and I list it on the MLS, give 3% to any buyer agent that would bring me the buyer of the house, right? And then they get paid their 3%. I take my 3%. And people hate this 6%, right? 6% is a lot of money. Now, people say it's okay if the house is selling for $100,000 and you make $6,000 and each agent gets $3,000. They say that's okay, but $1 million house, that's ridiculous. Each side would get $30,000. Now, it doesn't completely work like this. Okay, let's say you're just a starting agent. You go work for a broker like myself, and I give you a 50-50 commission split, right? So you list a house, 6%, let's say it's $1 million house, okay, and you're going to get 3%, but I'm going to take half your money. So you're not going to get $30,000. You're going to give your broker $15,000. He's got to keep the lights on at the brokerage firm. He's got bills to pay also. And he's got a lot of these agents that run around and work for him. Now, 50-50 is the traditional split. Nowadays, it's like 90-10. The broker gets 10% and the agent gets to keep 90. I mean, some of these splits are interesting. This is why I don't have anyone working for me, because I don't want to be liable. The liability that I'd be responsible for them, it give them 90% of the money and I get 10%. No, thank you. I don't want any part of that. But that's just me. But a lot of brokers do that, and that's how they make their living. But this, well, the judgment came down $1.8 billion. Okay, now they want to do away with the MLS system. Now, the MLS system is not perfect. I'll tell you, it's not perfect, but it is the best system in the world for selling a house. Now, I know all you tech people, you think that we can just put up an app and then everything's going to flow and the house will get sold and we can just kill off all the real estate agents. We don't need them anymore because we have an app. You see, they think that the app is going to solve the real estate problem, right? A lot of people think that, well, artificial intelligence, AI, is going to replace the real estate agent. Going to replace them. You don't need these stupid real estate agents. They bring no value to the transaction, and you just wipe them out with AI. We got AI now. We got apps. We got in the digital age. We don't need these realtors. Look at, if realtors could go the way of the travel agent pretty much gone now, right? You can just go online, book it at priceline.com or whatever, get the lowest prices and your vacation's booked. It doesn't work that way in real estate. Here's why. Okay, it's because people have emotions. If people are emotional, and you have to hold their hand. That's my job. I bring nothing to the table, but I hold their hand. Okay, I hold their hand because they're going to be crying. They're going to be highs. There's going to be lows. There's inspections that come up, right? So, okay, so I got the seller. I'm holding their hand. Now, I would have the seller get the inspection reports early so we know what's wrong with the house, so we can figure out what to do. If we want to fix it, we fix it. If we don't want to fix it, we just tell the buyer this is what's wrong and you got to take it or don't take it. Okay, now the buyer, they got their agent coming in and now he's holding their hand and they're going, oh, but the plumbing's messed up. Look at the plumbing. I'm going to have to get a plumber over to the house. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that, right? But it's the holding of the hands. It's the negotiation, the ups, the downs, the inspection reports, and holding the deal together. These deals will fall apart. Look, you can go out there. Everybody today can go out there and sell their house themselves. You do not need a real estate agent. You can go out there and sell your own house. Now, it's proven proven that if you sell your own house, you're going to end up getting a lot less money than if you hire a real estate agent to put it in the MLS system and to put it on the MLS, and that gets you the most buyers to come in and show the property, right? Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. They want to wipe out the buyer side. They want to wipe out the buyer side. Now, there's an industry analyst. His name's Ryan Tomasello. Now, he says this is a great thing because there's $100 billion in commissions, and he's going to wipe out all these buyer agents. Okay, he's going to wipe them out. He's going to save 30%, he says. So he's going to save $30 billion a year to the consumer. This is going to be great. This lawsuit's great. $1.8 billion, right? Okay, well, that sounds good, doesn't it? No, it's not going to work that way, and I can tell you why. Okay, look at the okay, I'm a real estate broker, right? And I've sold many, many, many of my own properties. I would never sell one of my properties without offering the buyer agent 3%. Now, even if you go FSBO, you still want to offer 3% to someone that brings you in a buyer. Buyers are getting very scarce. Now, if the market's totally hot and you can just run a little ad on Craigslist, put up a picture there, and everybody's driving by your house and throwing money at you, that may be a different story, but when the market cools off, you're not going to be able to get that house sold anyways. Even if you put it on the MLS, you're probably not going to get that house sold. But when something goes wrong, when there's a roof problem in the inspection report, when they find the termites, every house out here in California got termites, we got to tent the suckers up, right? Kill those bugs. And it's a negotiation between the buyer and seller who gets to pay for all the termite damage. You're holding the deal together. It's a lot of hand holding is what it is. I agree. I've got nothing to do with the transaction. The transaction's between the seller and the buyer, right? But they want me to come and hold their hand. And yes, I charge, well, we each get, the buyer agent gets 3%. I get 3%, right? In my area, it's about 2.5. But this is how it's done. Okay, now you take us out of the equation. You have the seller go direct to the buyer. There's no way that deal is going to hold together. It's just not. It's going to fall apart. That's how it works. I mean, what agents do is we hold it together. We have nothing to do with the transaction. You're right. You could put up an app there and you could just do it between them, but it's not going to close. The deals won't close. The buyers won't come. Number one, they won't find your house. So let's say we take away that buyer agent. We just throw them away. Now we just have the seller agent, right? So you come and you list with that seller agent, right? Now that seller agent, he doesn't have the MLS anymore. We've taken that off the table and we see how this works in other countries. You can go to a lot of countries. There's no MLS system and house prices sell for a lot lower because the MLS system brings the house prices up because it gives the house exposure. It's like marketing. The more buyer pool you got to choose from, the higher the price. Other countries don't have that. There's a lot of countries that don't have that. We're very modernized. It's the best system in the world. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but the MLS system does work. It brings people to transact together, right? Okay, now you take away these buyer agents, you take away the multiple listing service. I list with this agent. This agent does not know how to get your house sold. Even I'm an agent with 40 years experience. I do not know how to sell a house for a reasonable price. Sure, I got cash buyers, but that's going to reduce the price about 30 to 40%. My cash buyers, I have those handy. I can bring one of those over and buy your house at 30 to 40% less. But now the seller, they don't want that. They want that on the MLS. I don't understand how this lawsuit become, well, I do understand. I'm going to explain that to you right now. Okay, so here's the thing. What is the most lawsuits of any real estate transaction? When do they happen? They happen when the one agent represents both the seller and the buyer. It's a dual agency. The agent represents the seller and he represents the buyer. After it closes, there's always lawsuits in those. Why? Because the agent had a conflict of interest. He didn't tell the buyer that the agent would have taken the seller would have taken $100,000 less. He didn't tell the buyer that. But yet he's his agent also, so he's obligated to tell him that the seller will take 100,000 less. But he's got to protect the seller because he's his agent also. So he can't tell the buyer. You see, the dual agency is where the lawsuits come into play. Now, here's the thing. Okay, that $1.8 billion settlement, believe me, the National Association of Realtors is not going away. The MLS system is not going away. This will be, there's an appeal process. It's going to take several years before this gets paid out, before any money is exchanged, right? Okay, so it's going to be appealed and it'll probably be overturned. That would be my guess. Okay, but where does the $1.8 billion go if it gets paid out? All right, let's think about it. Well, it goes to, well, 600 million of that, about a third, goes to the lawyers, right? $600 million. Now, you want to put a cap on what realtors make because, you know, the names I get called, scammer, scumbag, drag of society. I mean, the names that realtors get called, it's really funny. You know, that doesn't bother me. I got a little bit of a thick skin after 40 years plus in the business. It doesn't really bother me. But they look at us as a lower rung of society, the low life of society. All right, what about lawyers? So they're getting $600 million in this settlement goes to attorneys. Shouldn't we cap them? Look, that's 30%. Shouldn't we cap them at 3% like realtors instead of $600 million? Sure, they can live off $60 million, right? Shouldn't we cap them? Now, what if you're a plumber? Shouldn't we cap you? I had a plumber come over the other day, charged me $400, took him 45 minutes. Shouldn't we cap him maybe at $50? $50 is what we should have paid him, but he charged me $400. Look, I don't think we want the U.S. government telling the professionals how much money they can make. I really don't think we want that, but maybe we do. A lot of you are going to leave me comments. There are going to be a lot of hate comments on this one. Okay, so but here's the lawyers getting $600 million of that $1.8 billion settlement. But what happens? Well, if they take away the buyer agent, well, then they get more lawsuits. Lawsuits happen when there's a dual agency, when one agent represents the seller and one agent represents the same agent represents the seller and buyer. Okay, that's where the most lawsuits come. So lawyers will get to make even more than the $600 million they're making off the lawsuit. This is fabulous. Fabulous for lawyers. Lawyers love this stuff. But the rest of the consumer doesn't understand. They think this is a big win. The comments I see, oh my goodness, this is a huge win for the consumer. You agents are going to go away. We're going to kill you all off. No more 6% for you. You guys are going to all go away. Look at the consumer is the one that's going to get hurt. You don't see that because you don't know how the system works. I understand that. It's a simple system. It's the best system we have. It's the one that, you know, the MLS system is necessary, but believe me, negotiate with your agent. Don't pay them 6%. I agree with that. Negotiate them down to 3-4%. There's a lot of these discount brokerage companies. Redfin would be one. They'll list your property for 1%, which I think is a very, very reasonable fee to list your property. Then you get to decide how much to give the buyer agent. Now, here's the thing. I'd give the buyer agent his 3%, especially if it's not a hot market. If it's a real hot market, I'd only give them 2%, okay? And they'll still bring you the buyers if it's really a hot market. When the market slows down, you want that buyer agent to come and show your property, so you should pay them at least 3%. This is just, it helps the consumer. It helps you. People think that we're just ripping you off. People think we're just scamming you. It's not that way. But there's already antitrust rules in place. You see, we cannot fix the commissions. Commissions are completely negotiable. People don't negotiate, though. They just come in and they sign the form. No, you ask them, hey, what's your commission rate? Well, hey, Tall Mike says he'll do it for 5%. Why are you trying to get 6.5%? I'm going to go with Tall Mike. You see, it's a negotiable. And maybe Tall Mike will knock off 0.5%. Maybe he'll go down to 4.5%. It's all negotiable. You could try to get Tall Mike to do it for 1% like Redfin. Not going to happen. It's not worth it to me. And look at those Redfin agents. They're paid hourly, I guess it is. I don't know how they pay them, and you don't get the service quality. I can't compete with their low commission. Don't want to. Why would I want to? Anyways, I got carried away here. I know I'm going to get all you people in the comments telling me what scummy people realtors are, how we got to get rid of the National Association of Realtors, how we got to get rid of that California Association of Realtors, how we got to get rid of the MLS system because it's broken. We're just going to put a digital app up there and it's all going to work out perfectly. Anyways, if you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up. I got a little carried away. I know a lot about this topic. The court system has this one wrong. I think an appeal will overturn it. And get out there, enjoy your Monday, everybody. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye now.